So all jokes aside, I kind of like the ship a little bit. I think it looks kind of cool, especially some of the close-ups with the hangar bay doors open look pretty cool. I posted some close-ups of it on Twitter. But the stats, all of it, none of it matters whatsoever, because there is no reason to run a carrier in Star Trek Online right now. That's the problem. They're just a tier under the rest. It doesn't matter what you do to them or whatever. They just are not that great. And I'd really like to see them fix it. The main issue is that you're missing 2 weapon slots from any other kind of ship for the most part. Science ships are also missing 2. Some of them, depending on if they're lockbox, whatever, might have a little bit more, but they have a secondary deflector. So with your carriers, you're getting that extra hangar bay. The problem is that the damage output from an extra hangar bay doesn't make up for the loss of the 2 weapons or the loss of not having an extra secondary or a secondary deflector. So it doesn't matter which way you look at it. There's just you can't make up that difference when you're going with a pure carrier. And what makes it worse is that you can get a flight deck carrier that has 4 weapon slots in the front and in the back, and it has 2 bays, right? So there's basically a better version of every single pure carrier by just going to a flight deck carrier. I have not seen a good argument for straight up carriers and what the advantage is, for that. Every class should have like a little bit of an advantage and a trade-off for that, right? That's the whole point of balancing it. And with the carriers currently having the 6 weapon slots and no secondary deflector, but you get an extra bay or you have your 2 bays, it just doesn't make up for it. So it just doesn't make any sense. Some flight decks have are 5.3s. There's others that are 4.4s. There's even some that are like 4.3s with an experimental weapon. If you want to be a carrier pilot, then go with the flight deck carriers. The pure science carriers they're just not worth it. Unless you just love the way the ship looks, and performance is kind of secondary, you can still play the entire game with this ship. You can play through all the story missions. You can even play through all the advanced content. You can even go through the elite stuff. You're just going to struggle a little bit on the elite, depending on who you're playing with and how that's all going. So, the ship is usable, but there's a lot of people that they don't give a crap, and they just they like to fly the ships. But I think probably 90% of people they want to be able to do good damage. That doesn't mean they're trying to like min max everything and pour their entire life into getting that last couple DPS. But everybody wants to feel good about the way their ship works, right? And blowing stuff up quickly and those kinds of things. And you could still do that with this. But again, it feels bad because you're just not getting as much for your money or your time, depending on how you went about, getting a hold of these things, is what you would with a flight deck carrier. I don't know what the answer is either, right? So they could buff pets and make those a lot better. But then the issue is that you have, dreadnought carriers or you have flight deck carriers, and it just makes those even better, right? I don't know if there's some kind of, mechanic they can add to the ships themselves, kind of like you get from like command ships and you have the inspiration stuff or whatever. Maybe specifically for, carriers that allow you to click and give your pets, a big boost for a minute or something like that. Because even if they added another hangar bay, you're going to have huge problems with map despawn because there's a maximum amount of entities that you can have on a map. So if you have more than one in there, or you have, a kinetic build in there with you that's, spitting out mines like crazy, you're going to have a lot of problems, with things basically disappearing off the map and you can't target them. So I don't know what the answer is to that. I'm interested to see what you guys think, what could be. I just thought of, that where if they added something like, pilot ships have the extra, the little button slots for doing your pilot maneuvers. What if carriers had, a couple buttons similar to the Jemadar ships? Right, the Jemadar ships have their 2 wingmen, and there's a mechanic for it with a little button panel. What if they added something like that to carriers that just either gave your pets damage boost or allowed them to heal your shields or your hull, the same kind of thing that you would get on a Vanguard ship that has the wingmen. I think I just solved it, guys. I'm gonna write a letter as soon as we're done. So that's my thoughts on the carriers, guys. And so it doesn't matter what this ship does until they make some adjustments to carriers in general. It's just going to be a hard pass for me. For me, if I'm going to spend $30 on a ship, I want it to at least have the same kind of potential as, you know, every other ship. I mean, it's basically kind of like a tier 5.5 or something, you know? And so it just kind of feels bad. But if you're just like, man, I've been waiting for that ship to come out forever and I just want to fly it, then get it. I mean, it's fine. It'll get it done. I just don't feel like I'm getting the same amount of money's worth when, you know, I buy something like that compared to, you know, the Norway or whatever.